on to Dublin. I don't know, is this kind of a tactical plan? They kind of struggled through the Leinster Championship, and then against Mayo, bam, they're back in this. But look, it'll be actually a very interesting one to see how Dublin play against Mayo. But judging by the last 3 games, I think this Dublin team is on the decline. You look at the players coming on even. I know, don't get me wrong, they're decent players and deserve their call-up for Dublin, but I don't think they're as good as the likes of Dermot Connolly coming on or Kevin McMenamin in the past. And that's kind of a worry going to the game for Desi Farrell. It's actually weird because I think Mayo might have a stronger bench than Dublin. That's kind of the weird thing. You still have Mark Moran, who's in the wilderness. You have to take into account him. He might be on the panel even. So, look, it'll be very interesting to see what happens. And look, Dublin's dominance might be at an end and people will breathe a sigh of relief. Obviously, you won't, Aaron, as a Dublin fan yourself, but it might be a Mayo win. But as I said, disappointed with Kildare, but Dublin, there's still a lot to work on. And don't be surprised if Mayo pull off a huge shock in the semi-final.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of people talking about at the moment the possibility of Mayo doing so. And like what you said, even James Carr as well coming off the bench, like kind of making an impact for Mayo. It does seem that Mayo have a better bench. Even Tyrone probably have a better bench at this stage as well, which is just something you wouldn't have associated with Dublin down the years. Dublin just haven't been at the races this year. And obviously you were saying earlier, they might just turn it on against Mayo. But like when you look at Dublin down the years, normally they breeze through these Leinster games. You know, they turn it on in these Leinster games. It's actually probably what's, you know, one of the more impressive things about Dublin down the years is that, you know, they're expected to beat a team by 20 points and then they actually go out and do it. Like there's not many teams, all right, Kerry are doing that this year, but in previous years, you know, even the great Kerry teams back in, you know, 2009, 2010, like they often used to scrape through those Munster Championship games. And, you know, I even remember Kerry nearly getting beat by Sligo one year in a qualifier game. So it is interesting with Dublin. And I remember there was a comment coming in the live match reaction before my internet cut out. I think it was from On Fire, actually. He's a regular subscriber and commenter on the channel. And he was saying how maybe it's the end of an era for this Dublin team. And like, you know, as Dublin fans, we've been so used to so much success. It's been so good. It's been so easy. But, you know, I don't know, like it kind of does feel like it might be coming to the end of an era a little bit, even with Dean Rock, like getting substituted early, not really playing as many games. Like he does have a few more years left in him, but he is getting older and you do wonder, is Desi trying to change too many things too quickly? But certainly for Dublin, a lot to work on going into the Mayo game.
There is definitely a lot to work on. And as I say with Dean Rock, I don't know, would he be useful from play anymore? That's the issue with Dean Rock. I think Cormac Costello has clocked up a very good scoring rate this season. So that's probably a positive for you. And he's a very good free taker as well. So, yeah, but the development line doesn't seem to be there despite them reaching 2 under-20 finals in a row. Like you question Kieran Archer. I don't know why he isn't on the senior panel, for example. Lee Gannon's another one who I thought would have been a Jack McCaffrey replacement, an ideal player to run up the field. So, and Padar O'Coffey-Byrne isn't playing as much games as he would like either. So, look, looking at the under-20 talent coming through in Dublin over the last few years, there seems to be talent there, but you look at the bench still, it's not this, other than the Baskels who will come on and try and make a difference. There's not much in that Dublin bench that will frighten the likes of Kerry and Tyrone and Mayo. That's the most worrying aspect for Dublin. So going into the semi-final, they might turn it on against Mayo, but it's going into the game. It's a strange one because I think Mayo probably have the stronger bench, and you wouldn't have said that over the last few seasons. And even I think Kieran Whelan was on the Sunday Game Highlight show last night. He was saying that going into the last few minutes, that's where Mayo failed, where Dublin brought on the likes of Cormac Costello, the likes of Dermot Connolly, the likes of Kevin McMenamin to finish off Mayo once and for all. They don't have that now. It's switched over to Mayo, and I just wonder, do Mayo have it in the tank? Do they have the bottle to beat up this Dublin team? Look at the last few championship games, and the thing is about Mayo, though, they only got tested really in that first half against Galway, and their defence was seriously exposed. So that'll be an issue. Like Division 2, they were not tested. Leitrim and Sligo, no disrespect to them, but they weren't tested in them games either. So they didn't learn much. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Will this Mayo bench prove the difference in this game, or will Dublin gain that experience? The likes of Dean Rock, Cormac Costello stepping up to play, Kieran Kilkenny, Conor O'Callaghan, who hasn't hit fire the championship either this season. So it should be interesting to see if Dublin hit fire the semi-final, and if Mayo could really, really put it up to them. I genuinely think Mayo can put it up to Dublin. Can they beat them is another question. It's going to be a very tight game. I suppose you'd have to get closer to the game to get a definitive answer on your prediction of the game. But it should be very interesting to watch this game, and really looking forward to the semi-final.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. I'm hoping to go to it as well once tickets come available. But I'm sure they'll be like gold dust in many ways. Normally, Dublin and Mayo games are always like that, whether it's an All-Ireland semi-final or final. And yeah, I've kind of been getting a lot of 2012 vibes kind of off this Dublin and Mayo game, where Dublin had achieved such a big feat in 2011, winning an All-Ireland. It was the last year under Pat Gilroy. Gilroy was probably too, kind of reliant or too loyal maybe to a lot of the older guard in that Dublin team, the likes of your Jerry Brennans and whatnot in that team. And you had the likes of your Kieran Kilkennys and Paul Mannions and Jack McCaffrey's coming through, and they weren't really getting game time. I think Kilkenny and McCaffrey played, but they might have come off the bench or something like that. So you might be getting a similar thing here as well with Dublin, where they've, maybe Desi's been too loyal to a lot of those players when you've got the likes of your Kieran Archers and Lee Gannons coming through. So there's a lot of question marks. And even for Dublin, I was even thinking as well, I'm planning on doing an all-star football team of the year later in the week just for the season so far. But I was kind of thinking what Dublin players would even get on there, because it's an interesting one. Maybe Cormac Costello would get in there, Brian Fenton maybe, but compared to previous years, normally you'd have 7 or 8 Dublin players in there, whereas now maybe you have 2 or 3.
It's actually a very good point. Yeah, I definitely put Costello in it. Fenton maybe, but Matthew Rowan and David Moore, you might argue, have had better seasons. So maybe even 1. That's absolutely astonishing for Dublin in many ways. And even looking at the 2012 championship, they actually went into that Mayo game, strange enough, beating a Leinster team in the quarterfinals by 3 points. And that was Laois. They were kind of on the way down that time. So, and even though they weren't breezy through Leinster like they usually would either. So, Wexford should have beat them. Meath probably should have beat them if they put up a better performance in the Leinster final. So it has similar vibes in many ways going into this Mayo game, and Mayo weren't expected to turn them over. I can remember vividly, the semi-final before, and Cork lost to Donegal. We were wishing the Donegal fans best of luck against Dublin, fully expecting Dublin would get through, and then Mayo just beat them out of the water. And it has similar vibes, definitely, but I think most people would probably say Mayo would win now rather than 2012, because 2012, that time, they lost along for 2 years beforehand in the All-Ireland qualifiers. It was in a rut that time, Mayo football, and the fact they beat Dublin in the semi-final was a big shock to all concerned in the GAA. So I think it'll be less of a surprise now, given Mayo's talent in the team, given they were all-Ireland finalists last season. They're building something there with James Horan blowing in the young players quickly. And that's where Mayo probably have excelled more than Dublin this year. The older players retired, but only 2 were starters last year, in Clark and Barrett. The rest of them were all blooded in last year, and it seems to be, a positive for Mayo that these players are blooded in. The likes of Owen McLaughlin, the likes of Tommy Conroy, Matthew Rowan is still in his mid-20s, I think. So there's some young, talented players in that Mayo team, and now they have a strong bench. And maybe that work last year, blooding in them young players early, could prove dividends for Mayo going to the semi-final, and maybe Desi going towards the older players rather than the likes of Kieran Archer or Paddy O'Cuffey-Byrne or Lee Gannon. Maybe that'll take its toll on this Dublin team, and Mayo could win this game. But the more we talk about Mayo winning the game, you'd have to see a reaction from Dublin. They could just blitz Mayo now in the semi-final, just wait and see. It should be very interesting, but maybe blooding in them young players early was a positive for Mayo last year, gained that All-Ireland final experience. and they could really, really challenge Dublin in the All-Ireland semi-final. It should be a cracker of a game.